Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. So today we are going to be going through all of the blushes in my collection and doing another ranking video. If you guys haven't seen, I've done a few of these now. I think this is my third one. They are very time consuming to plan for because I have to literally take every single product from my collection. So for example, for the blushes, I have 47 blushes in my collection, and basically I sort them all out and decide what I like best to least. So yes, I'm ranking every single one of my 47 blushes that are in my collection, and that is what we're going to be doing today. So for this video, it's going to be a little different than the last two that I've done because I have so many blushes. I felt like if I just sat in front of a camera and tried to swatch every single one of them, that it would take longer. So what I did instead is I actually just sat down on the floor, and that way you guys could see the product and I could swatch it really quick. I thought that would just be faster. There's just too many blushes in this category. So anyway, that is what we are about to do. I just wanted to let you know what was happening. So I am going to continue on with these ranking videos, but in the future, after, like, I already filmed the ranking portion of this video. After how long that took, I feel like maybe I will just do like the top 25 if I have more than 25 in a category, because I feel like it might be just a little bit too long and maybe a little too boring. But let me know what your thoughts are down below if you really want to see every single blush in my collection ranked. Also, because there are so many in this category, 47 is a lot. Definitely, it was really hard to like pinpoint every single one. So, you know, for the most part, I feel like this is pretty accurate from my least favorite to my favorite, but you know, give or take a few here or there. Some of them were kind of, you know, some of the blushes I liked almost equally, so it was kind of hard to differentiate. So alright, but like I said, this is a long video, so without any further talking here, let's go ahead and jump on in. Trying to see the best way to do this. I don't want to show you guys the blushes because I don't want to give anything away in the order. So let's go ahead and jump in. As I mentioned, I have 47 blushes. We're going to start with the end here. This is from the brand Sourmay, and I have the shade called Love. This is a mineral all natural blush, and the color I think is really pretty. It's like a matte tangerine almost color. I think it's really pretty. The formula is not my favorite. Now it is really hard to find a all mineral formula that lasts on the skin all day, so I think that is the part that I'm not loving about this blush, but I still do enjoy it, and I think it is a really pretty color, and it is a more of a unique blush, but it's just not my favorite. So that's number 47. Number 46 is actually Sigma blush, and I have the shade Coeur de Rosa. Now, I actually do really like this a lot. I like all the blushes in my collection. That's why I kept them when I did my declutter. I think this is really nice. It's just not anything very super unique. It's just a very, well, it's matte, and it's a nice like nude rosy color. But again, it's just nothing super unique, so it didn't really stand out to me as being one of my absolute favorites. The formula is good, not fantastic, it's just good, but it's not bad either. It's just kind of one of those meh products, but good enough that I did keep it around. Alright, next, another all mineral blush actually. As you can see, these mineral blushes are not my favorite formula. This is from 100% Pure. The color on this is the color Mauvette. I love, and that's why I kept this one. The color I think is so beautiful. I just don't love the formula, and I think the price tag on this is really too high for what you're getting. I know mineral blushes can be a little bit more expensive if you are looking for an all natural blush, but I don't know, I think there's better ones out there at like drugstore prices. So yeah, I think it's a pretty color. I haven't decluttered it because I do like it, but not my absolute favorite either. Alright, next I have one of my Kat Von D blushes. Now this was discontinued a really long time ago. These are the Everlasting blushes from Kat Von D, and this is the shade Love Song. I liked this formula better than, she came out with a couple other formulas I feel like, but this one was a nice formula. This color is not my favorite, just because it's got like a chunky glitter in there. It's like a brighter pink with a chunky glitter. Now, obviously when I'm swatching it with my finger, it's gonna be a lot more intense than how it applies on the cheek with a brush. So keep that in mind. It's not quite that intense. Otherwise I would have decluttered it. But it does have that chunky glitter in there. And so that is why it's kind of near the bottom for me as far as favorites. Next up is this one here from Makeup Forever, and this is one of the single blushes that they made these that you can like pop the pan in and out. The only thing is, once you get the pan in, it's almost impossible to get it back out. So I can't really pop it out to tell you what shade it is, but it is kind of a lighter peach color, but I find it to be a little bit on the frosty side, which is why it's not one of my favorites. I think it's really pretty in the springtime because it does give you a really pretty sheen to the skin, and it is like that peachy pink color, which is really stunning, but again, it's just not one of my favorite formulas. The next one in order is from number 7, and this is called Apricot Blossom. This is a good blush. It is a good blush. When I was putting these in order, I just didn't feel like it beat out some of my other blushes. Again, it's a color that is pretty, but not very super unique, and I do like that it's matte. It blends pretty nicely. It's just not super unique. I think that's what it is. It's just kind of a little bit on the boring side for me, so that is why it made it kind of nearer to the bottom. Next up, I have this one from Wet n Wild. This is one of their color icon blushes. It's the shade Pearlescent Pink. Now, this is for shade, is the reason it made it near the bottom. This is just a shade I don't feel myself wanting to use all the time. Again, it can just appear to be a little bit frosty, and it is kind of more of a darker pink, so it's not one that I feel myself wanting to reach for all the time. I think the formula is really good though on these. I do have another one which you'll see later on, but yeah, this one made it nearer to the bottom because of color. This one here is based on color only, that it's near the end as well. This is from NARS and it's in the shade Sin. Now, I do love this blush and I do reach for it a lot in the winter. The thing is though, that I only want to use this in the winter. So it's not something that I feel like I can use year round, although that would make a pretty eyeshadow. I do find myself only pulling this out in the winter time. So for that reason, I felt like it was kind of nearer to the bottom because, you know, I like blushes that I can use year round. And you'll see when we get near the top, most of the blushes that made it near the top favorites are ones that I can use with almost any look, almost any time of the year, that kind of a thing. So this one just had to make it to the bottom because of color, but I think the formula on NARS blushes is excellent, and I have a few others that you'll see later on as well. Next up, I have one of my Too Faced Love Flush blushes. This is in the shade Your Love is King. This is, I'm not going to go through and say the same thing, but this is basically the same thing as that NARS blush. I find myself only wanting to use this in the winter. So it's just a deeper berry color. So it's something that I don't want to reach for year round. So for that reason, it made it where it did. Next, we have one of these Milani Rose blushes, and this is actually the shade Coral Cove. Now, this one is for the same reason as the last two, but this is more of a springtime color. So I only ever want to use this one in the spring. And it is stunning. It's a very pretty pinky coral color. As you can see, it looks a lot more intense in the pan than it does show up on the skin. So it is an easy to pull off color. It's just a very spring summer color that I would not use in the fall winter. So for that reason, it does kind of just sit in my drawer for half the year. So it made it kind of closer to the bottom as well. Okay, so the next blush I wanted to mention is this one from MAC. This is in the shade Just a Wisp. Now this was a limited edition one. I don't think you can get it anymore. I've had it for a while. The color is really unique. It's kind of a frosty light pink. I do like having this in my collection because I think it's such a unique color. I have nothing like it. I can use it as a blush topper or a really fun blush, but I don't use it very often, but I do still like to use it here and there. So that's why it kind of made it, I do like the uniqueness of it, but the fact that it is so unique means that I just don't wear it as often. All right, next up is this guy here from The Balm. This is the Hot Mama blush. Now, this one was kind of tricky for me to place because this one has sentimental value to me, so that's something I've talked about a few times now on my channel. It is one of Lexi's favorite blushes, and whenever we play makeup store, which we do every once in a while, she always reaches for this. So it's something I will never ever declutter. I just don't use it very often anymore. So that's why I kind of placed it nearer to the end, was for the actual blush itself and how often I use it. But the product is sentimental to me, so it does have a higher value. This color is this is like an OG YouTube blush. This color is almost an exact dupe for the NARS Orgasm blush. It has that kind of a peachy pink color with like a yellow gold running through it. It is very stunning on the skin. I just don't find myself reaching for it as often. I don't know if it's just because it's older and I've had it a while. I don't know, but I still think it is a really beautiful blush. All right, next up is this one here from Kevyn Aucoin. This is one of the Neo blushes, and this is in the shade Rose Cliff. So these Neo blushes have this like ombre effect to them, which I like because you can kind of customize your shade depending on when you place your brush. This one changes quite a bit. It goes from like this yellowy gold color all the way over to almost like a berry tone. So really depending on how you swirl this, it's going to change a lot. But if you run your brush kind of through the whole product, it is just kind of this like neutral rosy tone. It's not too intense, but I mean, you can really change it if you go up here. Look at that. That's almost, that one looks really similar to the Hot Mama when you do that. Or if you go way down here, this is going to look a little bit more like Sin. So, I mean, it's kind of cool how much you can change this blush. So I do like that. I just don't find myself reaching for it. And I really don't know why. It is a really stunning product. I just don't use it as much as I use some of my other blushes. All right, next in the lineup I have this, which is actually a bronzer from Too Faced, but I use it as a blush, so that is why it's in my blush drawer. It's in the shade Pink Leopard. I think they discontinued this. I love the packaging. I love the design of the actual blush with the leopard print on it. I think it's really cute. And this is just like a bronzy, well, because it is supposed to be a bronzer, it is kind of a pink bronzy color. It's, in my opinion, a little too pink to be a bronzer, which is why I put it in the blush drawer. So I do like using this on, like in the summer when I want like a super bronzy color, I'll reach for this, but it's something I don't wear too often, so that is why it made it nearer to the end as well. All right, next, this is from Makeup Geek. This is the blush in the shade XOXO. I find this one to be very similar to the number 7 blush that I already mentioned earlier. This is just very, it's good, it's basic, it's just something I don't feel myself reaching for that much because it's kind of on the more boring side, but it's a great blush. Like the formula is good, the color is great. I find it a little bit boring, and that's why I don't reach for it as often, but I still do really like it. Next up, I have one of my Bobbi Brown Shimmer Bricks. Again, this is actually supposed to be a highlighter, but I use it as a blush, so that's why it's in here. This is in the shade Rose. It's very, very gorgeous. How you swirl your brush is gonna make a difference in what this looks like, but when you swirl through the whole thing, it gives you this like light pink frosty color, which I think is a very pretty like blush topper or blush on its own. It's similar to Just a Wisp, but more wearable. Just a Wisp is like almost like a, oh, I don't know, it's like a Barbie pink, and this one is more of like a rosy pink, so it's a little bit more wearable, but you have to really want a lot of shimmer when you reach for this product, so that's why it made it nearer to the end. All right, we're getting kind of close to the middle now. Next, I have a Becca blush. This is in the shade Camilla. I actually really, really love the formula of Becca blushes. They might be one of my top 5 formulas, but this color is one that I don't use too often, so that is why I kind of placed it near to the middle. So that's what it looks like. It is actually pretty bright. It does, you know, blend out, and when you apply it with a brush, it's not super crazy, but it isn't something that I want to wear on a daily basis. So that is why it made it here. Alrighty, next is another NARS blush. This one is actually a deluxe sample in the shade Ghoulie. This was like a VIB Rouge gift one year, but it is a pretty color. It's just a little bit more of a darker berry color. So again, something I do like to use in the fall, winter, but just not a year-round blush for me. All right, here is another one of the Wet n Wild color icons. I like this shade quite a bit better than the other one. This is in the shade Rose Champagne. And this color is like a very neutral kind of peachy color. It does have a shimmer running through there as well. The only reason this made it more near to the middle is I just don't feel like these blushes last on the skin as well as some of my other blushes. But color-wise, I really do like this color. It's a nice neutral color. I like the fact that it has a little bit of shimmer, but it's not like glittery or too intense. It's just a really pretty color. So I do really love this blush, and for price, like, you cannot beat the price. I want to say this is like $2 or $3 at the drugstore. It's so affordable, but it just doesn't last on the skin all day. Next up is another drugstore blush. This is from Maybelline. It's the Master Highlight, and this is in the shade Nude. So I do have a few of these. You'll see a theme. I have a few highlighters that I use as blushes and bronzers as well. I kind of place it where I feel like I'll use it the most. This is not a swatch you're going to be able to see. Let me move it over here. This is a very neutral nude color. To me, it's just a little too dark to be worn as a highlighter on my skin tone, so I do wear it more as a blush, and it does have almost like a peachy colored undertone to it. I think it's really pretty, so I do really like it. I don't even think it's too frosty to be worn as a blush. To me, it is definitely more of a blush on my skin tone, but I do think that one's really nice. So, all right, and then this guy here is from Urban Decay. This is the blush, Afterglow blush in the shade Fetish. I love this color so very much, and the formula is actually really nice as well. It's a nice soft formula. It's pigmented, but it blends out well. It's a nice neutral rosy tone. It's not too dark, it's not too pigmented. I think it's actually a really good blush. It only made it to like the middle because I have some formulas I like better, but I think this one is really, really good. Okay, my camera stopped recording for a second, but I was talking about this next. This is the Laura Geller Baked and Brighten Blush in Tropic Hues. So the reason this made it kind of nearer to the middle is just that it's a little bit on the frosty side, and it's very similar to a lot of other blushes I have. I do like the formula, I do like the color, I just feel like I have a lot of similar ones, so it wasn't high on my list here. All right, next is my other one of these Kat Von D Everlasting blushes. This one is in the shade Por Vida. I like the color on this one a lot better than the last one, so it made it a little higher again. It looks really bright in the pan, but keep in mind with a brush, it's not quite that bright, and as you can see, like, it doesn't go on that intensely, but it is a really beautiful, unique color. Very different than anything else I feel like I have in my collection. More of a pink than a coral, but it does have a little bit of a coral underneath. Very, very pretty, and I do like the formula on these. All right, next I have another Laura Geller, but this is one of the Baked Gelato blushes, and this one's in the shade, well, it says Rose Water, but I do have two of these, and both of them say Rose Water. I'm not sure which one is actually Rose Water. One of them has been mislabeled because the colors are very different. This one is more of like a bubblegummy pink, I would say, but it goes on, as you can see, like super sheer, and you kind of have to build it up. So I do actually like that in a blush when it's a little bit more sheer and you build it, because you can kind of customize your color to make sure that it doesn't show up too intensely. I do think it's pretty. It's just not one of my favorites. You'll notice most of my favorites are more like nude toned blushes, not as much of these pinks. So a lot of the pinks made it near the middle. Next we have another MAC blush. This is actually one of the baked blushes, and this is in the shade Gentle. I really do love this blush. Like, this would have made it a lot higher had it not been another seasonal color. This is something that is more of a berry tone, so I reach for it more in the fall, winter, but it is so beautiful. I really do enjoy wearing this blush. I like the formula, I like the color of it. It does have a little bit of a shimmer running through, but it's very subtle and it doesn't look glittery on the cheeks at all. I just think it's a really beautiful blush. All right, and then next up is this one here from Too Faced, another Love Flush blush. This is in the shade Justify My Love. Again, it's another pink, so that's why it kind of made it here in the middle spot. It's a nice pink. It's, again, a little bit more of a sheer buildable pink. So I do enjoy wearing this. And I love the formula on these as well. I just don't use it as much as some of my other colors. It's the thing about these cooler tone pinks like this especially is that I don't feel like I can wear it with every single makeup look that I'm wearing. So for that reason, it's more limited when I actually apply this one. Next up is this blush from Antonym. Now this is in the shade Rose. I actually really love the blush itself inside of this packaging. My issue with this, the reason it didn't make it higher on the list, is the packaging itself. It's this bulky wooden packaging. It is kind of big, and also it is it has these hinges on it that are made of wood as well that break easily. I have had to replace this already. When I first got my order in the mail from Sephora, it was broken, so I had to exchange it for a good one. And I had an eyeshadow palette as well that broke on me, so they just tend to break easily. But the blush is stunning. I really, really like this blush. It's a beautiful nude color. It has just the slightest sheen to it, but it almost doesn't translate on the skin as shimmery. It's just so pretty. I mean, look at that. I don't even know if you can see the swatch. It's just this beautiful, neutral, nude looking. It doesn't look like it almost is invisible. Like you can't really tell you're wearing blush. It's such a natural blush, which I really appreciate. I think that's a really unique color and I really like it a lot. All right, next I have one of my Clinique Cheek Pops. This is in the shade Plum Pop. This is actually one of my absolute favorite formulas. It is one of my top 5 favorite formulas, but this particular color is one I don't use as much, so it did make it nearer to the bottom just based on color. Again, it's a very cool tone pink. It's pretty, I wear it, I just don't wear it as often, so that's why it's here. All right, here's the other Laura Geller Baked Gelato blush. Again, it says it's rose water. I'm pretty sure it's not because they do not look anything like each other. But it is this one's a little bit more of a corally pink. It's pretty. It does have that little bit of shimmer running through there, but it's not too intense. So again, I do like it. And yeah, we're getting closer to the top now. Next up, I have the Laura Mercier blush in the shade Rose. This is very nice. This is kind of on the more boring side as far as blushes go. It's a very neutral rose tone, but and it's matte, but I appreciate that because I can wear it with just about anything, any look, any time of year. It's just my skin is so dry. It's not swatching beautifully because of my dry skin, but you can see it's a really, really nice color. So I do enjoy that. I'm glad that I own it, and it's nearer to the top of my favorites. All right, we are getting close to the top. This is actually number 17 if you count from the beginning. So we're getting there. This is from e.l.f. and this is in the shade Jetsetter. It's one of their older formulas. The only reason this didn't make it higher up is because it is discontinued, and I don't like to talk about it a ton because you guys can't get it anymore, which is unfortunate because it's such a stunning color. And again, it is more of a fall winter color, but it's not as intense as some of those other ones, so I still feel like I can even sometimes pull this off year round, but it is more of a plummy color, so it is a more traditional fall color. But formula is fantastic on this. It's such a easy to blend, creamy formula, and it lasts all day, so I really do like these blushes a lot. All right, next up is another NARS blush. This one is in the shade Deep Throat. It's another mini. I did get this one in like one of those 500 point perks. Whenever I see NARS as a 500 point perk, I always redeem for it. This color I love. I love, love, love this color. Such a great pinky coral color. Has a little shimmer to it, but nothing too intense. And it's very wearable. I feel like I can wear it with almost anything. Cool tone, warm tone. It can kind of go either way. So I do really enjoy this a lot, and I use it a lot. I also like the fact that I have it in a mini because I sometimes travel with it. All right, the next blush is another one of the Milani Rose blushes. This one is in the shade Tea Rose. I really love this color. Again, this is something that can just be worn with so many different looks. So neutral, you can wear it with almost anything, and that's why I really like it. And yeah, that's a really great blush. If you guys have not tried the formula on these, you definitely need to. In my opinion, it's one of the best drugstore blushes out there. Next is another one of my Bobbi Brown Shimmer Bricks. This time I have the shade Nectar here. This is so beautiful as a blush, you guys. I love this so much. I like to just swirl my brush through the whole thing, and it gives you this beautiful color. I mean, it definitely has more of an intense shimmer in it though. So if you do not like a shimmery blush, this might not be for you, but you could use it as a highlight if you have a deeper skin tone, or as a blush topper, but I just think it's so stunning. I really love that one. All right, this is actually number 13. This is from Milani, another classic OG blush here on YouTube. It is the Luminoso, that's what it's called, Milani Luminoso. Again, this was supposed to be a dupe for NARS Orgasm, which I actually don't have in my collection, so I can't compare it for you. But this one is a little more coral than the one I showed you from the Balm earlier. I think it's so gorgeous. I just think it's a really pretty color. I'd almost call it like a tangerine. I just think it's super pretty, and I do like wearing that again in the spring, summertime. Next up is Benefit Rockateur. This for a long time was my absolute favorite blush, but I have discovered some other blushes that I do prefer over this one. However, I still really like it, so I did want to keep it near the top. It's the Rockateur. It's a good, just neutral color. A nice rosy neutral, goes with everything. Has some shimmer, but it's not crazy shimmer. I just think it's nice, so I like it a lot. That's the swatch right there. The only thing is, I'm not a huge fan though of the packaging. It's so bulky, it is hard to store, but it is a beautiful blush. Almost to the top 10. This is number 11. This is from Flower Beauty, and this is the blush in Sweet Pea. This is very gorgeous. It is a nice drugstore blush. It feels really creamy on the skin, blends out nice, lasts all day, and it's a nice neutral color. So nothing bad to say about that guy. I definitely enjoy this quite a bit. All right, moving on to the top 10 blushes. This is another Laura Geller blush. This is one of the Baked and Brightens, and this is in the shade Raspberry. I just love the color on this. It is it's got like this marbled swirled effect, but it gives you a perfect rosy neutral color every single time, and I just love it. I just love it. It goes with everything. So I find myself reaching for that one quite a lot. It's a nice matte as well, so yeah, I just think it's a great blush. All right, number 9 is actually another Becca blush, and this is the one that I have in my project for the year, which is nice. It's nice that I like it a lot and that it's a mini, because hopefully I will use it up. But this is in the shade Flower Child. Let me swatch this. This to me is more of a summer shade, but I feel like I could still wear it year round. So if we get past the summer and I'm not out of it, I'll still wear it. It's a really pretty color. It's kind of a pinky coral. Has some shimmer, but it's the formula is just great. Very easy to build up and blend out. It doesn't get patchy, lasts all day. So love this one. Number 8 is another Love Flush blush from Too Faced. This one is in the shade Baby Love. No surprise, this is a nude. So most of the last ones are all the nude neutral blushes, because those are the ones that I wear the most, because they're just easy to wear. They go with everything. So that's what the swatch looks like. It's just a great rosy tone nude. Love it, love the formula, great blush. And then we have another one of these, the Milani Rose blushes, and this one is in the shade Romantic Rose, which is my favorite because this one is the most neutral of all of them, but it is kind of a rosy neutral color. Let me swatch it. These ones do not swatch well, but they apply really great with a brush. So yeah, it's a rosy neutral color. I think it's really pretty. I use this a ton, so definitely recommend that. You can see the flower is worn down a lot on that guy. Now we're down to the last 6 blushes, and you're gonna see a theme with branding here. So here I have another one of my Clinique Cheek Pop blushes. This time I have the shade Rosy Pop. This is more of a neutral rosy color, so that is why it made it closer to the top for me, because I feel like it's something I can wear a little bit more often. The formula on these is fantastic. I just really can't say enough good things about the formula on these Cheek Pop blushes. I think if you're interested in picking some up, they have a huge shade selection, so just go swatch some and I think you will not be disappointed. They're really, really nice. So of course number 5 is another Cheek Pop, and this one is Nude Pop, which is my favorite of all of the Clinique Cheek Pops. It's look at how much this flower has worn down on this. I use it all the time. It's just the most perfect neutral nude color. Again, it is It is a matte, but it's really, really pretty. So I wear this all the time. I just wear it with everything because it goes with everything. So I highly recommend that one. All right, and last but not least is my Hourglass collection. I'm just gonna talk about these all together because obviously formula is the same. The reason that, let me spread these out. The reason that these made it to the top 4 spots with nothing in between them is because of the formula. They're so gorgeous. I can't even explain how beautiful they are. They have a little bit of a shimmer running through them, but it's the most natural, glowy look to the skin. They are just perfection. So I love these. Now I do have just 4 shades and they did make it into the top 4 spots. So let's start with number 4. This one is Diffused Heat. This one has been in my everyday makeup drawer and I've been using it a lot recently, almost every single day. It is a great spring color. It does have that peachy pink tone to it. It looks a lot crazier in the pan than it does on the skin, as you can see. Kind of looks like I wouldn't be able to wear this, but it's really beautiful when you swirl the colors together. So loving that one. And then next is Incandescent Electra. This one is very similar, but a little bit more pinker. The last one's a little more coral. You can see them side by side. They're both really, really stunning. Hopefully you can see those swatches. I just love this formula. Next one is Luminous Flush, and this one is much more of a traditional pink color. And I'll swatch this over here. Just look how buttery and blendable those are. It's just fantastic. I love it. So that is Luminous Flush. And the last one, my most favorite blush in my whole collection, is Mood Exposure from Hourglass. This is so freaking gorgeous, you guys. It is the perfect nude blush. Ugh, I could wear this every day, you guys. I could just wear that every day. Look at the color. It's just so pretty. Hopefully you can see it. It's got the most natural sheen in there, and it's just like a very light nude rosy color. It goes with every single look. It goes all year round. I think it's the most versatile blush I own, and that is why it is in the first spot. Alright you guys, so those are all the blushes in my collection, ranked from worst to best. I hope you guys enjoyed watching this. Thank you for sticking around. I know this was a long one. I hope you guys have a fantastic day. If you have any questions, comments, leave them below. If you are new to my channel, make sure you subscribe and stick around. I've got a lot more ranking videos to do. I've only done blushes, bronzers, highlights so far, so we'll be moving on to palettes soon and lip products and all kinds of other fun things. So make sure you subscribe while you're here, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.